What is up, tadpoles, and welcome to a VGC draft team building guide. I'm here with Spades, and we're going to give you a simplified guide on how to team build for your VGC draft league.
Yeah, or at least try to.
Yeah. Alright, so let's start off with what you bring. And this is kind of complicated, but not as complicated in draft league, because since you only have to prepare for your opponent's mons, that either being 11, which is the standard, or maybe 13 if you're playing in like a big draft league, which is kind of weird, but whatever. So you don't really have to prepare for like the whole metagame when team building for regular stuff. So what you should do is you should look at your opponent's team and then identify the threats. Like, okay, this is support, this is a sweeper, and then you should group them into mons, which will most likely come, might come, and probably won't come, so that you can assume that like his really bad mons are not coming, so you can just cross them off the list and not really have to worry about them. Like, let's say you have, I don't know, 5 water types. I don't know why you would have 5 water types. You obviously don't think he's bringing the fire type, so yeah. And then
but also about that, I would at least have a check for all of them, but like I wouldn't prep too hard for it.
Right, you should
like,
always explore all options.
Yeah, if you expect somebody not to bring something, at least have something just in case that does come. But like, just make it like a move. Don't make a whole new set for a mon that you don't think will come. Right,
exactly. Or if you really think that you have a 4 solid mons, then you could bring a singular mon to counter that if it does come up. Later on in the season, obviously you can't do this in week 1 or week 2, but later on in the season, like week 6, week 8, you can check what your opponent has brought in the past, and that can give you clues on to what they're used to bringing and what they like bringing. And obviously, then you can figure out, oh, how do I counter this play that they keep on bringing every single time? Coil Milotic. Coil Hypnosis Milotic.
Not to get specific or anything.
Yeah. Obviously, you still want to explore all options, just like Spade said. You don't want to completely cross everything out, but like 90% sure is really good. And sometimes you bring mons just for the intimidation factor / bait. If you guys have watched my VGC Draft League videos in the APDL, you know that I've brought Colossal a bunch of times, but I haven't actually brought him. I just brought him in team preview, so people kind of expect it. So yeah.
Yeah, bait is something I enjoy doing as well. I actually had Colossal on a draft team of mine, and I did the same thing.
It's harder to use than you think. Now we get the speed creeping, and this is what really makes VGC Draft League team building different from regular team building, in that you basically find your opponent's fastest mon of interest, and then you EV it to be 1 point faster, and then you put the extra EVs in bulk or special attack. So instead of like EVing to outspeed stuff in the metagame, you EV to outspeed that one specific mon on your opponent's team that you want to outspeed, and then you could just put the rest in bulk, which is really, really nice in terms of just making it simple. Yeah, you don't have to run like max HP, max speed. You can be bulkier if you want to be.
Yeah, and it's also very important, like in regular VGC you're not able to do this type of speed creeping, but Draft League it's very easy to do that. And another point about the speed creeping is some mons don't have to be faster than your opponents.
Right, exactly.
But sometimes you do need to be faster than them, so it's important to know what speed tiers they are. So for example, in one of mine I had Boltund and I needed to outspeed Cinderace.
Cinderace is base 119, Boltund is base 121.
Yeah, so I put in just enough speed to outspeed it by a single point, and then
the rest into bulk. Just like
and then another example is
you don't want to waste EVs, because if you're going first anyway, you might as well not waste EVs.
Another example, and it's actually an extreme one. You can EV your mons so that they attack in a specific order.
True.
So a good example of this is I had a Scarfed mon once and a Dragapult, and the idea was the Dragapult would attack first, and then the Scarfed mon would attack directly after. So I had EV'd for actually Cinderace again. Dragapult was 2 points faster than Cinderace. The Scarfmon was 1 point faster than Cinderace, so that I had Dragapult attack first, and then the Scarfmon, which was Blastoise.
Yeah, knowing your speed order and how fast your Pokemon are and which ones go first is really important, because it might actually matter in terms of gameplay. But yeah, now we get on to mock battles, and mock battles are literally just mock battles. You take your opponent's team and you say, okay, which 6 mons do I think they're going to bring? You put them on a team, you make a team based on that, and you give it to your friend, and you and your friend battle it out. and work out how you can win the matchup. So you should do several battles with a friend, obviously until the point where you're comfortable with the matchup and you know what to do if they bring their specific mons. But you have to make sure that you try out different strategies, that they're not leading the same thing every time, so that you expect that. Because your opponent, your friend is not your opponent, so you have to make sure that you're trying different things.
Yeah, and a good way to do this, if you're the person helping with the mocks, is assign a random number to each of the mons you brought, and then just pick 4 random numbers. Do that after you do the main leads, but it actually helps quite a bit because you get these different
mix-ups,
looks at things. Yeah.
Right. You might lead like something super passive or something super offensive.
Yeah, so it's nice to play out like these scenarios, as well as understanding how you win the game.
Right, and good positioning.
Positioning is very important, and that's what mock battles can really show. Is, let's say you use a WB example. Cybertron had a Noivern that was able to hit a Pharaoh Seed from the opponent, where the rest of his team couldn't hit this Pharaoh Seed. So he made a play to switch it out, knowing that he had to keep it for the Pharaoh Seed. That is something you do not get by accident. That is a play that comes strictly from mocks, as well as being very good at VGC in his case. But the point being is, mock battles can show
I'll find that clip.
Yeah, I actually think it's probably Scarf and she's gonna Ice Beam. So I'm gonna actually pivot out into Excadrill.
Yeah, mock battles can show you what is good in the matchup, what's bad in the matchup, as well as what you need to do to position yourself accordingly.
Right.
They're very beneficial.
Yeah. And then we got plans. So obviously you should have some plans. You shouldn't just go and say, okay, these mons are good, so I'm just gonna bring them, and whatever he brings, I can fiddle around with them and lead these 2 and have these 2 in the back. You should have a real plan, like, okay, I'm leading these specific 2 mons and these specific 2 mons in the back if he brings these guys. If he brings these guys, then I have these other mons. And you've seen that in my videos, so you guys know how it is. Now we're gonna switch to one of my PowerPoints that I've done for my previous weeks, so we can show you how you actually plan out team building. Alright, so here's my week 6 matchup, and this was versus 6 Sin City Spartans. If you guys haven't watched that video, link in the description. But yeah, so he's got a bunch of these mons, and so first I evaluate his strengths. So that he has good support, he has weather control, he has very bulky mons, and he can kind of just stall out my Dynamax if I go for it early, so I have to take that into account. So then I figured out the matchup that I wanted to bring these guys and some of these guys. Usually you don't bring anything from bottom tier, but sometimes you do in like niche cases, I guess. But yeah, I kind of hard read that he wasn't bringing any grass types, and I was correct. He did bring Frostlass, however, and that kind of threw me off, but he didn't end up bringing in actual games. But yeah, then we got the very likely. These are the 4 mons that you like for sure expect. And obviously then possibility is like, okay, maybe 2 of these, maybe 1 of these, but usually it's like the 6 of them come from here, from the very likely and the possibility.
Yeah, and another important factor in this, like you could say, all right, my opponent's bringing these mons, I should have like these to counter them. Sometimes being reactive can hurt you a lot of the time. I've found in general having a proactive game plan is better than a reactive game plan. So
Right.
if you can afford to, like, if you have to be reactive, then that's one thing. But oftentimes it's better, like for this team, for example, oftentimes it's just better to go with a Colossal because it's a proactive game plan. Whereas if you want to be max defense on everything so that Cinderace doesn't hit you, that's a reactive game plan that will result in less fortunate results.
Right.
So,
Use focus sash counter.
yeah, focus sash counter.
Did
Yeah.
somebody actually do that? That's hilarious. But yeah, I think. Do we have anything else to say? No, I think we're good, right?
Yeah, that's the general basis of how you would prepare for a battle in draft.
Yeah, it's pretty simple on the outside, obviously, but when you actually get to the battle, it's all about positioning. So we'll be doing another video about actually battling in your draft league matches. So if you enjoy this video, like and subscribe. You guys know what to do, and I'll see you in the next one. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye.